Ben, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thank you.
How are you, brother?
I'm very well. Surprised you wanted me on, but let's see. Let's see where.
Why wouldn't man? You're probably one of the more interesting conversations I've had with the podcast.
Okay, cool.
Podcast C over the years.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think you're very humble about yourself. You've had a pretty interesting life, brother.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
So, people who maybe don't know you, just quick recap. You were a professional MMA fighter.
Yep.
And then you decided that you wanted a different kind of life.
Yes.
You're done beating people up.
Yeah. Or getting beat up.
Getting beat up.
Yeah.
And since then, you've got into like pretty interesting kind of work. Like right now, you're very much so into your films.
Yeah.
How have you found that transition? Like, you know, you don't often think filmmaker, MMA fighter to filmmaker.
Yeah.
What was that transition, and how did that bring you to here?
That's such a large thing. I think I've always, because I've been doing martial arts since I was 6, so, but I was always into, it was always like you know the way we have vision boards now and it's actually like a cool thing? Like, I feel like I had that when I was like a kid, but mine was like, be a world champion, and then, work in movies, but I wanted to be the person, I wanted to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know?
Yeah.
But at that time, so I was always interested in the movie side of things, but maybe more so just being the star.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah, which is different now.
And when did that change for you wanting to be the person behind the lens?
I don't know if it still has. It's just sometimes.
Okay.
I think I just wanted to learn the art, I guess, but I'm still not opposed to, jumping on a camera or speaking, and I feel like it will be in my future somehow.
I remember the first time that we chatted about these sort of things, I wasn't very much so into the filming kind of world, or didn't really know much about creators and things like that.
Now you're forced to.
Yeah, 100% forced to.
Yeah.
But since then, I've found some really cool creators and people that I've drawn a lot of inspiration from. Like one of them's Casey Neistat. Yep. So
Peace.
I have a few ideas now of people that people that I guess want to showcase life through their creativity.
Yeah.
Who are some people in film or in content creation that have inspired you maybe to do some of this sort of stuff?
Initially, so when I was still fighting at the time, and I met a guy in Ireland called Ger Walsh. I'll send you his Instagram afterwards, and he's a local filmmaker. And how did I meet him? He was making a film, and I was fighting in Bama, which was the UK. The big UK MMA show.
Is that BA MMA?
Yeah.
BA
MMA. That's the first time that I've actually considered that it has MMA in it. I wonder what the BA stands for now. Maybe it's British.
I think I looked it up. Well, I looked up the organization when I've had you on the first time. So
funny that I've never even thought about it. It's it's called Bama, whatever. And he wanted to use the cage for part of this film they were doing. And they made some deal with him where he could come in early and use the cage for some scene if he did free photography for them or something like that. So I met him when he was taking my photo to fight, for the event. And I remember, because I was also working for a coffee company at the time, and I remember saying to him I had all these ideas about making videos, and when I met him as a photographer, I was like, do you ever want to if you ever want to make some sort of videos or something, can I give you a shout or about doing this? Because I've always had a marketing mind or an expressionist mind. Is an expressionist a different thing? Is it? Is that
I think all filmmakers are expressionists to some degree.
Yeah, okay. And I just think of nudity for some reason.
Well, I don't know how you're filming these films, man.
I don't have any pants on when I do this. And then I kind of just started making stuff with him, largely centered around the coffee company I was working for, but at the same time I was learning to vlog, because I was fighting and I was I want to promote myself a bit differently, or and that was 2016 maybe, so there was definitely less people vlogging. Casey Neistat would have been still in his era or in his prime at that time, probably on YouTube and stuff, but it was a relatively new thing. I was the only person I knew that was making videos of myself training and then editing them and putting them up on YouTube and stuff.
Okay, let's talk about that, because now we live in a world where everyone's a blogger. It's just what people do. How do people look at you when you're trying to just film yourself at the time?
I think at the start people were that's a bit weird. That kind of I don't know. You feel like people maybe, it could be just all in your mind, but you feel like people could be making fun of you or whatever, because they're probably just like, why don't you just train more instead of like making videos? They're probably right. No, but I don't know. It just felt. I felt like it was. I don't know. It was perceived alright, but then after a time, I would make a few more, and then because I'd be talking about things in the videos that were kind of, I'm looking at all the books behind you and all the same type of books that I would kind of read, and I kind of would touch on those little like self-help kind of subjects in the videos and stuff because I was just reading and listening to all that stuff all the time, and then I feel like fighters kind of started to then be like asking me questions more, and I was getting loads of sponsors as an amateur fighter, and so I had pro fighters coming to me going, how are you getting all these sponsors? I was like, and I just would like impart what I think I've learned of them. But I think it was like the early stages of like, well, if you have a platform, people want to make use of that platform and that kind of way. But maybe it wasn't as done at that time. So I feel like I was like, at one point I was like, I think I'm the most sponsored amateur athlete in Ireland, but now it's really like all the amateur guys in Element, for example, they're like all have like 10 sponsors. So it's like, yeah, I think it was the early days of that shift towards everyone being a creator kind of thing. Which I think as an MMA fighter, you have to, it's like half entertainment, half fighting basically. So you have to kind of, you have to make the most of that, like take advantage of it, which is something that John said to us early on. I remember at one point when I was trying to get on BAMA originally, John emailed me or messaged me, I can't remember what it was, and he said something like, he's like, this is going to sound really like, silly, but he's like, they want to know how many Instagram followers you have, like how many people are
even back then.
Even back then, like 2017 was my first fight for BAMA, or 2016 was my first fight for BAMA, and he was like, they want to know that you have an audience. So I had to actually spend time trying to build an audience and getting sponsors and all that kind of stuff, and the vlogging kind of helped with that, because it just created this somewhat of a platform. I mean, the videos were getting like, I don't know, few hundred, maybe sometimes up to 1,000 views and whatever. But people were definitely interested in seeing like a behind the scenes of someone training in SBG, and probably just hoping to see Connor in some of the videos. But it was fun, and I kind of fell in love with that art of doing that. And then at the same time, I had met Jer, who I was talking about, and I was then trying to learn from him how he does it like properly, and somewhere along that I kind of just fell in love with the process of like making videos, and I would just go, even when I would just start going around making videos for people for free, just like if it's jiu-jitsu gyms, coffee shops, yoga studios, and just pretty much whatever I was interested in. I'd be like, hey, can I make you a video? And most people, if you say, hey, can I make you a video for free, especially in 2018, 2019, they would have been like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, even these days they still would. But
you can come even shoot it with no pants on.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can do what you want. Yeah. So.
So I want to go deep. One of the things that I like about you, Ben, is that we can have deep, meaningful conversations. Yeah. And I feel like in the world we live in, everything's very clickbaity and superficial. What are your thoughts on the fact that, because this happens to all industries, right? It happens to MMA fighters. It happens right now to, like in the fitness industry, personal trainers have started to become chefs because that's what's trending right now. You have to like react to like some viral recipe and then redo it. Yeah. And it's like, well, that's not even why people are hiring. Like when did we have to become Jamie Oliver all of a sudden?
Yes. Yeah, you guys really have to do a lot.
Oh, it's like...
Yeah.
It's become this thing where like you being a good coach has become you like
you're a nutritionist,
you're irrelevant.
You're a psychologist. You're like it's crazy.
You have to be a director, a content creator, like all these other things. So this has happened in all industries though. And do you see sometimes like in the fighting world, for example, fighters as they're coming up get confused with being a good fighter is ultimately what will make you succeed, or they get lost in I'm going to show what I do instead of like focusing on what I do. Yeah. Do you see people get lost in that?
I have seen, not so much now these days, like in Element and stuff, but I imagine there's gyms in Australia where it is a thing. But I saw it a lot back home, I feel there was a lot of people, including myself, that were focusing too much on that side of things, and then when I should have just been, training more, I don't know, my path, you can say like, oh, if I had to train more, I would have done better and blah, 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 but whatever.
And like, maybe people who don't know, you trained at SVG, where Conor McGregor used to train. Yeah. Like you seeing someone like that come up, did he focus on that side of things, or do you think he got to where he got to by focusing on his craft?
I don't know which came first, because when I joined, he was already had one fight in the UFC, and he was already like, you know, just bashing people. So like he'd already won his 2 Cage Warriors belts and stuff. So I feel like with him probably the skill came first, because he was training in those kind of earlier days. Maybe the whole, and you won't, well, you do these days, but you didn't really see him back then, like, you know, doing videos of himself. Like he wouldn't be making videos of himself really. It was more people coming in because they're interested in him, like wanting to film him and stuff like that. So he wasn't really like he's not really a content creator, you know what I mean? He's just like, he's like the subject of it. But I think his skill came first, and he's mental, and it all just kind of like was this great package, and people were just attracted to that and wanted to film him all the time. So there'd just always be someone in the gym with a camera, you know, wanting to capture what he's doing. And I'm sure he was driving it, you know, because he's obviously very business minded and like entrepreneurial and stuff. So I'd say he was definitely driving it, but I don't think he would have been, you know, making stuff and editing, and you know, that's not who he was.
I do think there's an element sometimes though, because I've met fighters or, you know, different athletes who do get very stuck to the craft, and they don't sometimes let other people come in because they find that a distraction. You know, like you get like a really old school athlete, right? Like they wouldn't, you know, some coaches wouldn't even allow filming in practice, you know, because it's, you know, that's a sacred space.
Yeah, I think that is the thing. The guys in Element have been pretty good. They barely, I mean, I make videos of them for Element. I'm trying to think of other gyms like, you know,
it's such a different environment now. Like it's not even a thing. It's like if you didn't film your workout, it probably didn't even happen, right?
Yeah, and I'm kind of out of it in a way, because I don't follow a lot of the, you know, how your algorithm works. You kind of just get what you're. So I don't really get those videos of like fighters doing stuff really. I just get heaps of jiu-jitsu tutorials that confuse me. And then I like jiu-jitsu tutorials and food videos, and that's pretty much it.
Well, let's go back to the creation side of things.
Yeah.
We live in a world where people are now dictated by algorithms, right? People do more of like what will give them more likes or views. How do you navigate in your own creation, not falling into becoming a slave to the algorithm and finding your own artistic voice within content creation?
I kind of feel like I'm in a place where I actually need to figure it out. Like I need to lean into that stuff more, because I know you can say, you know, obviously you can talk about it being like a negative thing or whatever, but then at the same time, when I see people who have like created a living out of doing it, I'm like, that seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, maybe I want to do that, you know. Because like, for example, like what I do at the moment, like I'm trying to navigate into being more remote, and the only way I can think about how to do that, like, or the easiest way, or like, you know, most efficient way, is to kind of create more of a personal brand and then be able to do stuff remotely. So I'm thinking about at the moment like food stuff, you know, because that's such a massive passion of mine. It's on my like board to like start a food channel next year. And then, you know, maybe there's a world where I can just make food videos and travel around and that kind of stuff,
sure.
as well as making stuff for other people. But the primary thing becomes me doing stuff for myself. So I'm still using my filmmaking skills, but in a kind of a different way, you know, rather than relying on shooting for, you know, all these different clients and shooting events and shooting this kind of stuff, which kind of keeps you, because I've built up a network here in Adelaide, but that kind of keeps me here. So if we're talking about moving to the Gold Coast, for example, I'm like, oh my God, I have to start all over and then try and build up that client base again. Whereas if I had something where I have like my own autonomy, like my own kind of personal brand, obviously you gotta want to do that. Like not everyone wants to do that, but I think I have the kind of skills to do it, so I might as well like utilize them. So I'm in this weird place where I'm like, actually, I think I need to lean into that more. And even with I rebranded and created this like business called like One Creative, kind of for that reason, because I'm trying to figure out. I'm always dancing on that line between like, oh, I don't want anything to do with social media or, you know, those kind of things. But then I'm also like, but that's kind of my job, and it would actually be better for me if I lean into it a bit. So it's a weird one to, obviously, if you're just like.
What makes you want to draw away from social media?
Probably just comparison, because I feel like it affects you. So I mute a lot of like similar people who do similar things than me. I just mute them. Because I just then end up comparing myself to them. So, and then, I don't think it's particularly healthy to be like, glued to your phone all the time. But at the same time, you kind of have to have your finger on the pulse. And because I'd have clients where they'd be sending me stuff all the time, and they want me to come up with these ideas, these like trending things, or jump on these trends and stuff. But that means you need to be constantly plugged in. And I'm like, I don't really want to be constantly plugged in. So I'm still navigating it all. I'm trying to figure out where my place as a creator, I guess, kind of is. And the idea of having like your own business, like a James Smith or a, one of those guys. I don't know. It's pretty appealing. I wonder. I've never met him or talked to him like those kind of. I've never met one of those guys. I'd love to actually hear the inside scoop of what it's actually like. But it seems pretty good. Like he put up a post the other day about, like, he gets to just work a few hours a day and then spend loads of time with his kid, and he's like so grateful. You never know what's real or not, obviously from Instagram, but. I'm trying to think of like an Aussie guy that's done that.
I mean, there's like I was at a conference with him on the weekend. Adam Sullivan, EBT. Have you followed him?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the Cunny.
The Cunnies.
Evidence-based training. Someone like that. I just wonder. Have you met him?
Well, I didn't meet him, but I had I got to ask him a question at the conference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it seems like I don't know. I think it's. I remember hearing years ago on like this podcast, or it was a book or something like that, saying that like this person thought that in the future, like maybe not too distant from now, like that everyone will just be a freelancer. And I think we are going that way. It's like,
I mean, AI and ChatGPT is going to change the workforce.
Yeah, so I just feel like everyone can just be like, I don't work for a company, I work for myself, and then they can just go wherever they want. Like maybe like a, like Uber, but it's for like a job, you know what I mean? So like, where do I want to work today? Okay, like WeWork or that's a bad example, but I don't know.
No, I know what you mean.
Twitter need this today, or I'll go and do that. Or I feel like that could be a thing. Or else everyone's just working for themselves, like kind of making their own stuff. But I don't know. I do feel like we're heading that way. So I don't dislike the idea of having that, but then at the same time, when I think about the pressures of doing, like, because if your business is just based on you, then every day you have to show up, or maybe it's not every day, maybe it's only. I'm sure if you made something or posted something 3 times a week, you're probably fine. So.
Yeah, I guess it's that constant tug and fight with hustle culture, right?
Yeah, I don't like that. Like I don't like that. I want to be kind of like cruisy,
Maybe we could start a movement, brother. Cruisy culture.
Cruisy creators. Yeah, it's our new monthly Patreon. Yeah, cruisy creators. Sign up, find out how to be cruisy.
So you mentioned something here, and the reason why I'm touching on this topic is because I want us to go like more to the outskirts, right?
Yeah.
Vision board. You mentioned putting something in a vision board. This is something you've mentioned in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you always been big on like visualizing, putting something down? It's something that I've only really, for years, I've written notes on my phone, right? And I did some like woo-woo manifesting stuff on Saturday night, and I was looking back at my notes, and I couldn't believe how much stuff has come true.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. Like it was like pretty scary. Like
I need to find out.
The super huge stuff hasn't, right? Like the mansion in the Beverly Hills hasn't come true. But you never know, still plenty of time. But a lot of those things did come out, and because some of that stuff is like from 2018, 2019, and I didn't even know the phone kept that sort of log. So I've become super hyper interested because maybe a few months ago somebody said to me, like, physically make a board, put stuff on it. And I do like hustle. I mean, I don't like hustle culture, but I do like hustling. I am a big believer in like work every minute of the day if you can, if you want to work towards something.
Yeah.
So I've always been like, those things seem like bullshit. Just do the work. Don't worry about putting it up. But I've maybe changed my mind on that.
Okay, yeah.
What if some things, because you've accomplished a lot, what are some things that you've put in boards or put out there to the universe, and what have been your reflections on those things coming true?
Yeah, I feel like I've been touch and go with it too. I'm definitely in, like, I would write notes on my phone or something like that, but I haven't learned the power of lists. How's it hard to say? Until the last couple of years, and like writing stuff up, and then like I have a whiteboard. It was mainly like for work, really, to keep track of what I was doing, because I was just chaotic, I was like forgetting things and all this kind of stuff. And then I feel like, there's something powerful in writing stuff down and just looking at it every day. I don't know whether it's woo-woo or not, but like I think maybe it's just like a reminder, because they said, like, I really like that saying, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And I feel like, if you just keep reminding yourself of this thing, and then you go, oh yeah, and then you kind of make the decisions that are gearing towards that thing. So it might not necessarily be manifestation, it's just kind of like programming your brain to do the things that will get you there, I think.
It's kind of like I've very recently been doing some like self-hypnosis on myself.
Yeah.
I think I just got made aware of the power of like, you have this conscious mind, but then you have this subconscious mind, and sometimes you're not overly in charge of like what's driving that. Maybe it is you go on your phone and you see someone who you feel like jealous of because they're doing better than you, and then that becomes the thing driving you. And instead of it being something that you're aiming towards, you run away from something.
Yeah.
So just trying to be a bit more conscious with being like, well, let me set 10 minutes aside a day where I decide what I'm kind of putting down that like second rabbit hole.
Yeah. And then I think there's a third level to that, which is like the collective conscious as well. Like
talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Like, I feel like we're it's like a really hands-off approach sometimes, because like I don't know, a lot of my focus these days is like trying to be a good person, and it's actually really tiring. Like it's a lot of like to be constantly, not tiring in the sense that it's tiring to be a good person, but to constantly have this narrative, and like you're holding yourself to this standard, is quite tiring, because you're not like switching off like, oh, I should have done that differently, or I should have done this differently, or I could have chose my words better here, and like it's actually quite tiring to like hold yourself to these kind of levels and stuff.
Do you not see yourself as a good person?
Fundamentally, yes.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just trying to slowly improve it.
Yeah.
Like bit by bit.
Take it up a notch.
I mean, maybe it's impossible. We all have, you have these moments where you like, I don't know, you swear at someone when you're driving, or someone says something and you react instead of respond, and you go like, I'm just trying to slowly remove those by like conditioning myself somehow. Or, getting annoyed at my friends' kids, and like, they're just kids, it's okay. I'm like, stop being a little bitch. Like it's just like, but it's like, you're trying to teach yourself these kind of, I don't know. There's always parts of us we can improve and stuff. So I do fundamentally believe I'm a good person, but
the collective consciousness is that kind of like you putting good karma out there, and then that creates.
So sorry, I don't know where I was going with that. But I was kind of going into there's you, and then like you're kind of what you're trying to do, and then there's like the subconscious, I feel, which is like almost stuff that you're not even aware of. And then I don't know, I just feel like there's this collective consciousness which we're all a part of, and that's like kind of like, the ultimate, like people call God, or oneness, or whatever, that kind of stuff. And I feel like if you can tap into that, that's like the real like, all right, I'm gonna like universe take the wheel kind of vibe. You're just like, I'm just gonna do my best, and then whatever happens, I can't control anything past that. And I feel like,
how do you marry those ideas? Because I believe in those two ideas 100%. I think the first time we ever had a chat over coffee, we were chatting about this, right? Like, you accept, it's almost like the free will versus determinism argument, right? Like, it's like, yes, I need to do what I need to do every day, but also it's the acknowledgement of like, there is some bigger thing in the world, and I don't understand it, why, you look back and you see patterns, and you notice like, this would have never happened without that. So have you managed to marry those two ideas of like, there's what I want versus what the universe wants from me?
That's a good question. Have I is the question. Have I even done that? I feel like there's moments where, maybe what you're talking about with like the manifesting stuff, there's moments where you feel like you've just tuned into something different, and then everything just flows, and then and then this client comes along, and then also this opportunity, and you're like, whoa, what's happening? You kind of like, and then once if you like notice it, then it's almost like stops or something, or I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I'm in this like energetic flow that when I've kind of almost like, it feels like you're kind of like just jumping off the cliff and trusting it, like, and that, I think that's nuanced, like it's very layered. It's like trusting many different things, like trusting yourself and trusting whatever else is out there, and so like, and I often have those days or moments. Usually it's like actually like a day. It's like, you ever have this day where you're just like, wow, everything, I couldn't have written today better,
You get all the green lights.
You get all the green lights. I love that book.
It's a good book.
It's a great book. Yeah. I have to listen to the audiobook too because it's like so worth it.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's like so good. Listen to it in the car. Just listening to Matthew McConaughey, I'd listen to him talk about anything.
So,
but yeah, you just have all those green lights. It is a great way to sing because you're just like, oh, green light. Oh, green light.
okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like introduce a concept to people because sometimes you're driving along in your life, metaphorically, and you do get to like a red light, and some people say fuck it and they drive through.
Right?
Yeah. And sometimes, look, I think sometimes in life you got to do that.
Yeah.
Because like if you get stuck in that cycle, you're going to keep getting more red lights.
Yes.
Sometimes about driving the right speed, and I don't know the answer to this, but it's something that I question all the time. Like, when do you risk it for the biscuit on the amber light? When do you it's like 2 a.m. in the morning. Sorry, cops that are listening to this. You know, you go like, I'm just driving through.
There's no one here. I think it's your gut. I think you have to learn how to listen to your gut. And over the last few years, I've had so like a few that I can think of where I'm like, I'm not listening. Like I was aware that I'm not listening to my gut, but I was like, I think there's something also telling me that just to do that thing that's uncomfortable and see what will grow from there. I'm gonna share
experience with you about something that's hands down just made me from now on. If I think someone likes me, I'm just going with that. If I think someone doesn't like me, I'm going with that. I worked at a gym at the end of last year, start of this year, right? There was something that I didn't love about being there. I really love like 90% of the people there. But there were some people in that gym that I just didn't I just felt like they didn't like me, right? And
I bet you I know the gym too.
Yeah, and I remember thinking to myself, like I kept talking myself, no, like it's probably like you're being judgmental, like maybe they're not your kind of people, or you know, like you're too much in your head, like they probably don't care about you, right? Anyway, months go by, I'm having drinks with another coach who didn't work there anymore, and we're sitting down. And we're just, you know, chatting shit about, you know, people and, you know, who we still see and etc. And again, if anyone's listening, like 90% of the people there, like I really like them. Some of them I still have relationships, they're clients, like people really have lots of love for, you know, the employers, like, you know, lots of love. But, you know, some people in the gym come up in the chat and, you know, I say, oh, you know what? Like, I never felt like a person liked me. And they said, oh no, they hated you. And I remember thinking like...
You're like, oh, I was right.
I was right. And then I was like, okay, what about this other... They're like, yeah, that person too. I was like, and this? All this group, like, all friends. And I remember thinking like, I'm never not trusting my gut again. Like, I was like, I could feel it. Like, it was like a weird... And I felt so torn because I'm like, I really like working here. But also, I feel like an energy that like is slightly dragging me down. And since then, now I've just like learned to lean in like... the other way, where you meet someone, you're like, I think this person likes me. I'm just going to assume they do. And then part of me gets confused because I'm like, does this person like me? Or I'm showing up now in a way where I'm way more likable because I don't need anything from them.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of it, we just like, there's like some sort of consciousness going, just shut up. Like, just relax. It's okay. You don't need to analyze everything.
None of it matters, like at the end of the day, right?
It's like whatever they like it, whatever. It's okay to be someone that people don't like. People, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like a big one for me. Is like, it's okay. It's fine.
Almost like, if people, some of the people that I really do like, they're not liked by people. Like some of them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Some of the people that I really actually like because they've shared their opinion, they're super disliked by others. And that's what makes me like them. I'm like, fuck them. Like, I agree with you. I don't care what
Exactly. And then you like, when, you know, they're saying when you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to like rethink what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, wait, am I just like, you know, an NPC now? Am I just like, what am I doing? You know, so like, I think most of the people, with the best ideas, or, you know, subjective, but are generally polarizing, you know, and most of the most successful people are polarizing also. There's a few unicorns, but and it's just the nature of people, isn't it? Like, just like if you take, you know, if we go into a room and there's 100 people there, you know, maybe 60 of them will like you, and then I don't know. It's just the way people goes. You're not going to go like 100 people going, yeah, I like that guy. There's always going to be someone, well, he said this thing one time, and then blah blah blah, and then, you know. So we all have just personal choice and different. We're all projecting our own, you know. Like in every conversation, there's like 4 people. Is like, is it 4? It's like the person or is it 6? I think it's the person I think I am, the person that I think you think I am, and then it's like you have the person you think you are and the person that you think I think you are, and then there's like the actual us. So it's like 6 people in the conversation.
Well, I heard somebody said this to me at the time when when I was kind of having these thoughts, and they said to me, you realize that you are only the version of the person that you are in front of the people. Like you're only that version to that person at that time.
There's like hundreds of thousands of versions of you.
Yes, and you need to learn to like realize that if you think you are that person, that's who you keep showing up as.
Yeah.
Instead of just you being, and sometimes, you know, when we can't put our finger on it, when you meet someone and they're like, they just lean into whoever they are and they just feel comfortable with themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's that feeling of like they are authentically, then maybe they like who they are.
Yeah, and then you get drawn to that, and then most of the time people just like them, and they're like, I don't know, it just seems like a cool guy, or cool girl, or whatever. It's because they're just like, because they don't care.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm just gonna be me, but it's hard to do that.
It's very hard to do.
It's kind of hard to do. I think I'm getting there. I think I'm actually getting pretty good at it. But then, unfortunately, real me is actually quite autistic. I'm just like no. But I'm just, you know, I find myself in conversations. You know, I'm like, maybe I don't want to like make eye contact with people all the time because, you know, that's what I've learned to do as a blah blah blah. I'm just like, that's not. I don't know.
Maybe that's not who you.
Maybe it's not who I am or whatever. Yeah. So I just kind of, I don't know. I just act the way I feel. I don't even. I think I'm at that point. Where, because obviously with fighting, it was like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I need to say things that so people think that I'm the best and blah 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 blah, and then
it's one of the things that I love about jiu-jitsu. Like when you, I find it when you touch someone, you know, like that second.
You're like, uh-oh.
Yes.
or else you're like, okay.
Yes, and it's like it's like it's the confidence that they.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like when the person overreacts, you're like, this is fine. It's almost like the best thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Like if they super tense up.
Yeah.
It's like when the person's like gives no fucks, you're like, I'm fucked.
Yeah. When you like grab someone's wrist as hard as you can and they just go
whatever.
You're like, oh, okay, you know something that I don't.
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Like I'm kind of screwed here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. Or you know those like black belts who just like lie down and just go into like a fetal position and they're like, do your worst. You're like, this is gonna be a shit round. This is gonna be a horrible round. You know, and you feel like you're in all these dominant positions. If it was scored on points, you'd be winning, but like you can't get
anything.
Can't do anything.
You're like, how do I do a DOS again?
Yeah, you're like, what do I even? And then when they really want to, they're like, no.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn.
Yeah.
They know too much. Like they're like Yoda.
For sure.
Oh, it is. So yeah, it's kind of like that.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we'll keep chatting, brother. Well, I think good. We can just include this in the podcast.
Yeah,
I think good story always wins.
Always wins. Yeah.
Like there's that content creator. What's his name? Adrian. OG Adrian. He's from LA.
Yeah.
He's really good. He is like, he doesn't have that sort of like. Sometimes on social media, like I call it like the more brash autistic personalities win, right? People that maybe you wouldn't like in real life, because they cut through everything so much.
Yeah,
like they stand out.
Yeah,
he's just a regular guy, good filmmaker, and he uses really good filming, like filming techniques, like not like the cheesy overproduced ones, but just good storytelling. And it's like it's so like it tickles that part of your brain that you're just like,
it's just different. It's just like, and it stands out now. Like whereas those kind of poppy kind of ones used to stand out, now they actually don't. They all just blend into one. You're just scrolling through, and it's just like someone like some hook at the start, and then it's like loads of footage, and then it's like coming back to tell you the rest of the story. You're just like, oh, I've seen this video, I know this video.
Yeah.
But then what's kind of catching attention now is more like going back to the simple stuff. Maybe it's like the opening shot is actually just a 10 seconds of like nature sounds or something, and you're kind of like, oh, this is different.
Yes.
Like Casey Neistat's brother is a really good example of that kind of film.
Oh yeah, Ben.
Yeah, if you ever watch his stuff, you're like, it's like a meditation watching his stuff, which I think is cool, which is very different than Casey, Casey's like boom, 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 up here, down, left, right, different angles, it's like, whoa.
Well, what I loved about, both of them, what's so good about them is they make something so natural, which, if you really think about how it all got shot, so unnatural.
So much
They make it seem like, I just walked down to the shops.
No, they had to set up a camera 15 times to get all these different angles, and you're like, wow, that's so much work. When you've done it, you're like, oh, because I used to do vlog, like I said, and that was hard because you're like trying to film out in public, you're trying to do like, it's all this, you're just trying to find these opportunities to just get
We're talking about it before, like nowadays, even like these, pretty affordable mics, do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Before, right, like you getting a lapel mic, you needed like a signal transmitter. You had like the mic, like you probably had too much wind.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it's so accessible, and like, this is a Rode Go. This is like the more pricier, isn't there like the Rode ME or something?
I think there's one level up from this before you need to go to like more.
Yeah. But I think there's a level down, which is still good, you know. So like, I think it's getting easier and easier. Like those DJI mics and stuff, it's so accessible. Like the barrier to entry is so low now for the creators, which is interesting for someone like, because my focus is kind of like. I think you asked me earlier, like, where do I want to go with it? Like, my main focus, I do really want to make, like, long-form films is kind of where my passion lays. And that are kind of ones that are important to me and I feel like are worthy messages to put out in the world. That's, like, where I do want most of my attention to go. But unfortunately, they're just not the money spinners, you know? So I'm trying to figure out this world where I have, like, maybe there's something I can do, like a food channel, because it's still something I'm really passionate about. Like, I'm not doing it, I wouldn't do it just because I'm like, I think that will make me money. I think it could. I think I kind of have the necessary, what's the word? Skill set, skills slash, kind of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Capabilities, skill. I guess it is skills. Like, okay on camera, like, can talk, and then have the filmmaking thing, and I can actually cook pretty good food, you know. So I don't, whether it's, you know, going to be a niche or whatever, I don't know. Whatever, you can't really think of it. Everything's taken these days.
But you know what?
You just got to do it.
Everything's always been taken.
Yeah, it always has been. Yeah, so you just.
That's the thing that the more I've gone down this rabbit hole of like content creation, the more I realize like
it's all borrowed.
It's all been done, right? Like I'm stealing a James Smith quote from the other day, but like, you know, Taken is just Nemo. Like, it's the same storyline. Like, you know, the Taken film is Finding Nemo.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And, you know, Star Wars is Dune,
it's
right?
Storytelling. It's
and
all
Dune is the Bible.
Yeah.
And the Bible's probably taken from somewhere else. Do you know what I mean?
It's like all the hero's journey, like the alchemist, you know, it's like, it's the same story over and over and over again. And like, if you go, I'm not going to do a cooking channel because there's already hundreds, and you're like, well, then
Well, I think we all like different people, right? Like,
it's just people.
I like Jamie Oliver. I don't like Gordon Ramsay, and there'll be people who, you know, don't even know those two people, and they'll be like, I like Jordan, you know, Wise or Weeze, whatever
it is,
right? Like, and
it's
you bring your flavor.
There's enough people in the world to kind of like and you know maybe and I do have like each person will have their own elements, you know, like because I'm like, you know, former fighter, jiu-jitsu athlete, kind of, I don't know, you know, athlete, maybe not athlete, but jiu-jitsu guy.
You had a competitive jiu-jitsu match, brother.
I know,
the lights recently.
But that was the not the nail in the coffin per se, but I was like, that was the kind of the last one for me. And I had to be like, right now I'm actually done. You know, it was.
I've heard you say this before, brother.
I know, but it's necessary because when I stopped fighting in MMA, obviously I was like, that was a massive decision. Like that was like, I felt like I had to create this new identity then after that happened, you know, because it was like who I was since I was 6. It was like, you know, I'd meet someone and they go, oh, when's your next fight? And maybe not when I was 6, but like.
Okay, I have this, you've given me so many things that I want to go deeper down on, but let's go down on that.
Yeah.
Right? So, I understand that feeling of wanting to rebuild yourself and giving yourself a new identity. However,
I don't think I had that awareness that you're talking about while it was happening, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now that, think of like people like your parents, your brother, like your partner. You don't really need to build a new identity to them.
No.
Like, now that you've gone, maybe you've created a new identity for yourself. Like, do you feel like you needed to do that in hindsight now or not?
No. It was just at that time I had like an identity crisis because it was like, because I felt that I felt that my identity was the
MMA fighter, not
things
them.
that I was doing. You know,
yeah.
So, which I didn't. So I've been blessed with the awareness since then. But at that time, I was like, what am I going to do now? You know, I was like, what's my big thing now? That was what was in my mind. I was like, what's my big thing now? Because for so long, fighting and being a world champion
you had this one North
my
Star.
big thing. But now I'm just like, I don't need a big thing. Yeah. I don't like big being like, this grandiose thing. Now I think it's important to have.
Oh, Winston can hear his mama getting home.
Who's that?
We're going to take a live impromptu break to let him out.
A live impromptu break. Bye, Winnie. I was I didn't have that awareness at the time. I was kind of like, yeah, what's my next big thing? Not realizing that I don't need a big thing, but
you just recently decided that's your last jiu-jitsu match.
Say it again, sorry.
You just recently decided that was your last jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, then I was like, okay, I kind of did actually stop doing a lot of stuff. I really tapered off in training from when I stopped fighting, because I was like, oh, and it just became like this kind of like, oh, it's better probably to stay away a little bit. Otherwise, I'm just going to want to fight again. I was still going in, like, you know, a couple of times a week or whatever to do and I just swapped to just jiu-jitsu. And I did even compete. I think I even competed a few times back in Ireland. Once or twice, maybe two or three, like kind of super fight kind of things, whatever. I was so bad at jiu-jitsu back then. It's hilarious thinking about it now. But and then then I got here, like competed a good bit, like did states, did like an M16 Open, then did the M16 like super fight kind of thing. All went pretty well, and then I was like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. This is 3 years ago, and then but I was like, I kind of half went out. I was kind of going, but if there's some sort of competition, maybe I'll just jump in. I think it was like I didn't like the super fight element of it, because I had a match against Keegan, and I just felt like coming up to it, I was doing all the same kind of old fighter things, like wanting to post photos and wanting to talk about it, and I was like, this seems like I'm getting caught in the same like kind of traps that I was involved in MMA, you know. So I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. But if there's like a local tournament and maybe I want to just jump in, I'll do it. And then I don't know, somehow, like maybe 6 months ago, I just got that urge again to kind of compete. I think I started thinking about like my age, because I'm 35 now, but I started thinking, well, I'm only going to be this age once. You know, maybe I need to just compete a bit more just to, you know, satisfy whatever. I don't know. And also, I'd gotten way better. I think people were like telling me how good I was. I think it got into my head, and I was like, yeah, maybe I could like do 80cc trials. You know, I was like, maybe I could just make one more run, because I always have held on to this like kind of notion that that I just have the ability to be like a world-class fighter, and I actually do believe that. But it's like, having the ability and having the desire are two very different things, and you need to have them both, you know. So I was like, yeah, I'll do one more, I'll compete a little bit, and I started training more, and then Fev organised that match for me on the Element Fight Night, and then I was all geared. I was like, I'm gonna do that one, then I'm gonna try and get onto Subversion, and then I'm gonna like do this, and then it's gonna all lead up to the 80cc trials in June in Gold Coast next year, and then I was like so determined, but yeah, sorry, I'll go back to that. And then when I had the match, it was good, like I felt good, but I just had like zero care like about the outcome, or like I think it's like, you know, they say the difference between like, you know, motivation and consistency or something like that. They say like, you know, motivation is very fleeting. It's like you're like, all right, I want to win, and then well, like when it's actually really hard, and then like you know, it's tougher, you need to get up early, or you need to you're in like a really tough scramble, and you can barely breathe, like how much do you really want to win?
Where do you think, okay, I told you earlier I was at a conference, and one of the speakers of the conference was talking about the concept of going all in on something, right? Yeah. And I struggle with that a lot. Like there's lots of things in my life where I've gone 95% of the way in, right? Yeah. And you're like, and maybe we're the similar kind of personality where like it's not hard to show up and do the work, right? But that 5%, you know, where you notice it, like I've noticed it when I've, you know, had matches with people even in training, right? Like I don't have that like dying desire to like, I need to be, like I'm like, if I lose today, that's fine. Yeah, it's almost like being too comfortable with you're like, you know, like it's, because I think to myself, because if I had gone all in, then maybe it would have been different, but maybe I get scared. Is it, for you, does it come from, do you think it's fear? Do you think it's self-doubt? Do you think it's maybe not really that not being like the thing that you ultimately really desire?
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's just, it just doesn't matter enough to me, you know, and I can make it matter artificially, you know, and I can try and think about all these reasons, but then when I really go deep on it, like I just can't think of a reason that really actually like lights me up to win a jiu-jitsu match. You know what I mean? I'm just like, that's okay, like, because I think I've just developed this kind of like, I don't know, like more cerebral kind of analytical mind over the years where I'm like, does it really matter though? You know, like kind of touching on what you said earlier, I'm like, family's still gonna love me. Like this, you know, no one really cares what happens here. So do I really care? You know what I mean? It just doesn't have the gravitas anymore. Whereas when I was young, I was like, I have to win or else like my life's over. You know, and I believed that. You know, I was like, this is the only thing that matters. This is all I have. And then in later years, and that's why I kind of, you know, towards the end of my MMA career, I was having those thoughts, and I was kind of like, I don't know, like I have so much more that I could do in life. I don't need this, you know. I don't need to be jumping in a cage for $3,000 and, you know, risking my life. I was like, it's just not important to me. And then with jiu-jitsu, like the same, I was just kind of like, I don't know, like I just the part I like about jiu-jitsu is it's just like the fun and the kind of camaraderie and the, you know, the presence of it, because I feel like it's one of the only things I do where I'm actually like fully present, because you're just thinking about not getting choked, whatever, you know, and like that's all the fun stuff. But when it goes to like competing, I'm just like, it's just such an empty motivation for me when I'm like, I have to win this match. Why? And that's where my train of thought stops. I'm like, why do you need to win this match? I'm like, I don't know. You know? So I'm like, well, if you can't get past that level, you're never going to be able to compete at a high level, because it's not important to you. And I've tried to make it like, oh, it's just a game and you want to win the game. But then still I go, why do you want to win the game? Is it not just about playing the game, you know? So I think ultimately my motivation is just to play the game, not to win the game. So, you know, had a great match against Ben. He's really good. He got his black belt then like a few days after.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, so you're welcome, Ben. No. And it was good. I felt competitive. Really rusty. It had been 3 years since I competed. But yeah, and then it was a strange end where I kind of like hitchhikered out of an armbar, but then tapped at the same time. So it wasn't actually on. I was actually out, but like had like a reflex tap, because I think I'm used to training and just going, okay, whatever, let's start again. Like, let's reset. There's no resetting in competitive jiu-jitsu. So like it was really confusing. You see in the video, like Ben's like, weren't you out of that? And I was like, I was, but I tapped for some reason. And then the ref is like, I don't know, I'm just gonna have to call it, because I think I saw you tap. And I was like, yeah, I think I did. It was just like it was a single. I could have done a whole.
This is becoming very CGI.
I could have done it. I could have done a CGI and be like, no, I was just checking his glutes were active. You know,
he looked like he's been hitting the gym lately.
I was just checking he was firing and all his glutes. But I was like, no, it's all good. And I had literally, I didn't feel sad about it at all. Whereas I've lost fights in the past, I'm like, oh my god, this is my life's over. Which I think is almost like how you should be, because you need to care about it. You need to be all in. Whereas I was just like, whatever, it's cool.
I think that's such a, like in the grand scheme of life, that is such a much better place to be.
It is.
About
it
things.
actually
Like,
is. Yeah.
To just realize, you know, I don't know, like we're similar ages, right? Like as I get older, I just realize, oh, like there's so many things that you think I've been a part of lots of different like cults, let's speak them, right? Like CrossFit, Jiu-Jitsu, and they all care so much about what's happening in there. And I'm still part of like my dance friends, and like I just see it. I've got my toe in all of them, but not fully in any one of them.
And each one is a trap. Like
and I just realized I'm like, this doesn't care. Like, you know, I've gone back to CrossFit, and you know, like I'm falling down in the trap of like, oh, I'm still pretty fit. Like I could still, you know, try and get the best time of the day there. And then I'm like, I don't need to do this. Like I don't need to lift that weight. But my knees hurt. Like I shouldn't be squatting this heavy. Like in jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. It's like, you know, it's like that trap of like almost, you know, you feel competitive enough with everyone. You're like, I should go compete. I should compete. You know, I'm wasting my potential. But then as more time goes on, you realize, you know, I meet some, you know, brown belt who's 45, and I'm like, you know what? Forget it. It doesn't all matter. Things don't matter in the end.
I feel like the real like mastery is to just be able to dip into loads of different things and be like, and not want to be amazing at them. Like I feel like that's a more fulfilled life, but it's hard. It's kind of it's been hard like to accept. In a way, like when I was like, okay, I think I had that match, and then I was like, I was like, no, I'm gonna keep going. And then, one good thing about it though, was when I like lost to him, I was like, I didn't make me feel shit. Whereas when I lost MMA fights, I was like, now I'm shit. Like I'm terrible, you know. But I lost that fight, and I was like, I don't feel shit. I feel actually probably better than before I went in because of, his level is pretty good. So
I think the consequence of losing an MMA fight is
different.
very different than a jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
just happens way more in jiu-jitsu. Like people get caught, and you're like, okay, you got caught. Doesn't matter. He's still like Mateusz Szczecinski. Like it doesn't matter if he got caught in a leg lock or whatever. It's like he still is amazing.
Yeah.
Or Joseph Chan or one of those guys. You know?
MMA fans are a little bit less forgiving.
Yeah. So whereas jiu-jitsu doesn't have that many fans, so it's just jiu-jitsu nerds.
No one remembers.
It's basically just jiu-jitsu people that will know. Most people watching were probably just like, I don't even know what happened.
Exactly.
So
I think about that when I look back and watching. When I first started jiu-jitsu, I would watch ADCC and like all those competitions.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking I knew what was happening. And every year as I know
like,
more,
wait, now,
I'm like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's just this ever evolving thing. But I was gonna keep competing, and I went to M16 like to train then on the Monday after. So I like had that match on Saturday, ran 10Ks on Sunday, and then like for the first time in my life, and then I went to M16 on Monday night, and then I was like, I want to go there straight away. And be like, and then I'm gonna start cross training, and I'm gonna get competitive rounds because I'm not used to competing, and I'm gonna need all this stuff. And they were cool. Like Ben, was like really welcoming, and Declan was there that night, and I did a round with Declan and Ben, and then a few other Miles and a few of the other guys, and they were all really, really nice. And I felt really competitive with all of them, like including like Declan and stuff. And I was like, I don't know, I was just kind of driving home, and I was like almost like kind of going, you know what? I feel like that's actually enough for me. I don't know, it was a weird moment. I was kind of going, I felt fulfilled because I was going down there thinking I was going to get trashed by everyone, and then I didn't. And I was like, wait, but these are like, really good level. Obviously Declan's like one of the top 10 in the world, and I was like, I didn't feel miles away. I felt like it was within reach. Obviously massive skill difference, but still felt within reach. And I was like, oh, so I kind of am there. And I kind of had this realization, I was like, maybe I don't need to prove it to anyone that I am there. Because I kind of felt like I had the knowing myself. I'm still absorbing it. I'm still trying to figure out what it means. But I basically just then messaged Matt then. And I was just like, you know what? I think I'm done. And I think I'm happy with that, And then he was like, good. Basically, he was like, as a friend, I want you to not compete. Because in training for that match as well, like my work started to dip a bit. And my work, it's really important to me, like my job. Or it's not even a job. It's like my kind of, my career path, my life basically, like, because I really love filmmaking, and feel blessed to get to do what I do, like, because it all started by learning how to do it on YouTube, So I feel pretty blessed with it. And then I started to dip a bit, and I was like, oh, this is not good, because I would have to dedicate so much time to go and do those trials and stuff next year. I'd have to be training, I mean, I already train 3 to 4 times a week or whatever. That would have to turn into like maybe 5 or 6, and I also do, that's just jiu-jitsu, and then I do gym outside of that and running and whatever. But it's just the juice. I realized the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, and I just had this, like, I kept saying to I had this thing in like inner dialogue going, oh, you're not actually shit. Because I lost my last few MMA fights, I feel like I've just had this narrative in my head where I'm like, you are shit. So even when people talk to me about MMA, like Matt would talk to me a lot about trying to coach some of the guys, and I was like, I'm not good. Like, I don't have anything to coach them. Like, I have a few techniques that I remember or whatever, but I'm not good at MMA, even though I like won the European Championships and, fought a professional and, won the first few fights. But I just, in my mind, I'm like, you're not good because I lost the last few fights. It's just these stories you tell yourselves. Now, if I did an MMA fight now, I probably wouldn't be good, but in terms of like that kind of carried through to jiu-jitsu, and I was like, maybe you're not that good actually. And then I don't know, just between that match and then going to M16 and then kind of just changing the kind of story in my mind, I was like, actually, you're pretty good. And also, it doesn't necessarily matter that that's the hard part, is like being like letting go of like this idea that you have to be amazing, which is what we were just talking about.
I think sometimes you need to do the thing to realize that
I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, and almost that maybe it doesn't pursuing, maybe you want to climb the mountain a little bit and get a bit of a view, but maybe getting to the top isn't that's not what you really want deep down.
Not at all. I want to just kind of get a little go, oh, that looks nice, and then just go, all right, I'm going to go over here now. that sounds more like me.
Yeah, for sure. I had that with dancing years ago.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do dancing because I was a terrible dancer, and I just wanted to just be good enough to like if I
Hold your
ask
own.
her, my partner to dance,
Yep.
it doesn't look stupid.
Yes.
If I ask someone to dance. And, I got trapped into the dance world where, you get offered to do performances and there's lots of competitions.
It happens, yeah.
And I just, like, halfway through it, I was like, I mean, yeah, I'm now a dancer, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be a world-class dancer.
No, yeah.
Like, I hit my goal ages ago.
Yeah.
Like, and as long as I have that now forever. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same when
Exactly.
I think some people might do jiu-jitsu and that maybe they also get trapped in that, where they wanted to do it for self-defense or boxing, whatever it is, right? Like, at a certain point, like, you might get what you wanted out of that.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep it sharp enough, like, you've
Yeah.
got that.
You've got
that.
it. Yeah. Yeah. And then you have to, there's a lot of to consider as well, like your age and stuff like that. You're like, it's going to be so hard at 35 to go. But then I don't want to use that as an excuse. I think mostly it's down to desire, but like all of those things.
I think this is the problem with age, right? Because as we get older, we realize you're probably never really going to feel, like, you probably go through moments of like feeling old, and then you realize I might just feel this way. As you're still you. It's just years that have been added on.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like I still really feel the same. I'm like, I've lost my hair, but other than that, like, I'm like, this is why 70-year-olds complain about stuff, because they're like, fuck, they're probably still like,
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm not supposed to be like this. Yeah. This doesn't feel like it's like your body ages, but your mind, you're like, hey.
These knees are bullshit. Why don't they work like they used to?
I feel like that all the time now these days, yeah.
Now, I'm going to divert topics a little bit.
Yeah.
You have been pretty into psychedelics in the past?
Yeah.
Still into those things?
Yeah, not less, but I mean, I feel like I did a lot at the very start, and this was the year after I stopped fighting, and that's why I was like, oh, maybe psychedelics are the answer for me to tell me where to direct my energy and blah blah blah, and it's funny. I feel like psychedelics. I think if done properly, psychedelics actually create more questions than they answer.
What was the last?
Yeah.
What was the last question that they opened up for you, or what was the last? I guess I sometimes think of it as like you're in a room and it's like whether it's through psychedelics or anything that kind of gets you to open up your eyes a bit more.
Yeah.
You just become aware of other parts of the room. You go, oh, I've never noticed that corner before.
Yeah.
What's like that last? What was that last thing for you?
Like most recently, this year, earlier this year, had like a massive like cactus experience in the Gold Coast, which was awesome, and it was the first time doing psychedelics like outside. And it was like, and mescaline is like a really long, like it was like a 17-hour experience, where I was just on like this massive walk, which was actually very uncomfortable for me because any other psychedelics I've done have been like inside in like either a ceremonial environment or like by myself with headphones and an eye mask to go inwards. Like you need to go in and figure out what's going on, you need to dissect this stuff. And then this mescaline experience where like and then in the initial, have you done psychedelics?
I've done mushrooms, but not in like a
hefty amount.
Not in a good environment.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know, like look, I probably have had these kinds of experiences, like
transcendental kind of experience.
Yeah, just like through lots of other things.
Yeah.
So I understand the
framework of it, like somewhere. Yeah. But at the beginning, I always have this like and most people have this like kind of really uncomfortable period at the beginning where you start going, wait, I don't want to feel like, I just go, why did I do this? Is there any way to back out? Like, I don't know if I'm ready to do this for 12 hours, you're like, wait, no, I changed my mind. I just want to go and watch Friends, So I had that like for the first few hours, and then I was like, no, I need to go in and lie in a dark room. And then the people that were with me was like, no, we're going on a walk. And it was so uncomfortable for me, but then it turned out to be like this most amazing like experience because you're in nature. And I was like, talking to fish. I wasn't talking to fish, but I was communicating with them somehow. And then I was like, there's Gold Coast, so there's like big I don't know what they're called, like big lizards around, and there's like trees, and there's all this, and we jumped in the ocean, and we like walking on like these along, the coast, like what was it called, like forest walk type things and stuff like that. It was, and through the mangroves, and it was amazing. Like it was so different. And then, but then, like the whole narrative through it, maybe just because of being outside and because of like who I was doing it with, the narrative became about like not so much about like going inside and having to look at all this bad shit about you. It was actually just about like just experiencing everything and just enjoying it, which was like very different for me in terms of psychedelics. Like, I mean, you get some, I mean, I'd gotten some kind of moments of that where it's like, wow, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. But definitely psychedelics for me have always been very cutting, I will say. You know, very like, my goal was almost like to try and like find the shit parts of myself and expose them and heal them. And then this one just felt like, it's all good. You're perfect as is. You know, it's like just like do your best and enjoy. You know, and that narrative I think was very important for me because I was probably gone down a bit of a road of being like, you know, all the time thinking about all the shit parts of myself. Like going back to the very start of the conversation where I was talking about, you know, are you a good person? Like I definitely was in that camp of thinking like, no, there's so much wrong with you, you know, and I think that experience really, as a message or something out of it, was just like, you know, everything's sweet, like you live a pretty blessed life, you know, just you know, go and enjoy it, go and look at the trees and eat some mangoes, and you know, it's life is good, you know. Could be a lot worse, you know, considering like even just us two sitting here, like it could be, we're very lucky, like we're in like the top percentile in the world probably to be even sitting here and having a conversation about this stuff, you know, on a Tuesday, you know what I mean? Yeah, sure. So we're doing pretty well. So yeah, I think that was that kind of there was a lot of stuff in there about fathers and stuff like that as well, this kind of like relationship with the masculine, and kind of had a bit of a realization around like that I've always kind of looked for like positive male role models in my life because I didn't have one, because my dad wasn't really around. So then, but then during that whole experience I was like, wait, like I can just become that positive male role model instead of trying to find it externally. And that was a big one. Like that was a kind of huge one for me. And that kind of relates to the two films that I'm making as well, because in both of those I had kind of attached this almost kind of like mentor dynamic to the two people, the two subjects of the films, where I'm like, maybe he has the answers or maybe he has the answers. And I was obviously, not obviously, but I feel like I've learned that I was making the films almost to try and figure out what they've learned that I don't know, you know, and then in order to kind of create, like, to better myself. But then ultimately kind of have realized I'm like, actually, I'm doing pretty well, you know. So yeah, that's probably one of the main ones. And I haven't, that was the first one I had done in like a while. And I don't feel, do I feel a call at the moment to do anything else? Not so much. I don't feel called to do anything really, although Cactus was very interesting. And we were going to South America in a few weeks, so I was like, if the opportunity comes up, I might jump into something. I'm interested in Cambo. That sounds good. Have you ever heard of Cambo?
No,
Like it's like the frog. It's like this like frog. They say poison. I don't want to call it poison. You know what I mean? And basically, yeah, you just like they basically just kind of like take the excretion. Yeah, well, you take the excretion of this one, and then basically you just kind of like use incense or something like that to burn little holes in your skin, and you put the little bit of the excretion on your skin, and it kind of, it's not so much psychoactive, but it's like actually like this supposed to be this massive emotional release, which, you know, me and a lot of men probably struggle with, is just like having that massive emotional release. So that's kind of appealing to me, just to see what that's like. I've heard really good things about it. I know a few Cambo practitioners, and they, you know, they speak very highly of it. That one maybe is kind of appealing to me, but I don't have any burning desire right now to go and do like a massive psychedelic experience, because I feel like, I mean, most of the work is here. You always have to come back here anyway, you know. So like, and this is like something that like I listen to this guy called Ram Dass like pretty much every day. He's like, it's kind of spiritual character, and he's passed away now. But he's all these great teachings, and he was talking about psychedelics. He had this like guru kind of guy in India, and he was talking to him about psychedelics. And at that time it was like the 70s and stuff. So he was talking about like acid and LSD and stuff like that, or whatever. And then he was talking to the guru about it, and the guru was like, he was asking the guru like, do you know about them? And he was like, yeah, that sort of medicine has been around for years and years and years. And he was like, he said something like, it allows you to visit like Christ and Buddha, you know, at the same time. You'd be in the same room with Christ and Buddha, but you can only stay for a short time. And then he goes, but wouldn't it be better to become them than to visit them? You know, so that's kind of my view.
Like all the answers without I think if somebody hears this and they're at the right space, they'll understand what I'm trying to say. But you have all the answers. Like, you are the universe.
But you don't know.
No, of course you don't.
And you have to go through it all. It's like The Alchemist, the book The Alchemist.
Yeah.
You have to go through the entire journey to go, oh, it was actually back where I started.
Yes.
But you'll never see that unless you go through it. It's a weird paradox, you know?
I'm going to give like a weird analogy to like
do
the
it.
thing that's made the most sense to me,
Yeah.
right? So, I don't know. I'm going to bring it back to like dating, right? Like, if you go and talk to a girl and you are feeling unconfident about it and like they might not like you or you need something from them, like that interaction will get ruined. Whereas if you like it's not even confidence. If you feel sure enough in yourself that you're like, you feel confident to just talk to them and just talk to them normal, that interaction goes 100% much better.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's like you envision a world where like, yeah, of course this person likes me. Or like, why wouldn't they think I'm funny? Or, you know, whatever it is. So it's like, I think of it sometimes when I start this podcast and I start asking people to come on, like, if I sit there and think,
well,
why would anyone? Instead of thinking like, why wouldn't they want to come on? It makes it really easy to send the message, and then you ignore the people that say no, and you just stick to the people that say yes, and you go, I think it's it like so much of that just comes down to like things that you said before, like just realizing you're good enough as you are.
Yeah, just whatever, just get over, you know.
Yeah,
just it's okay. It's okay. But it takes a long time to realize that. It takes a long time. And
people don't realize it.
No, and a lot of people don't. And then sometimes I think that's okay too. You know, like you know, you meet someone and they're just like they have like, I don't know, just what you'd call a normal job, and then they just do the normal things on. But then they're like, they seem really content with that, and you're like, okay, well there's nothing like that's good too.
I'm really jealous of that.
Yeah.
I feel
me
like,
too.
I feel like when I meet someone that's like,
you
don't love your job, but you seem pretty like loving life, and you don't have like, don't have this long list of like vision board tick off things that you feel like you need. You're happy to like provide with your family, and I'm just like,
I'm the exact same. And then I think that's a good thing, and then like to be like doing what we're doing is like a good thing. Like, you don't want to be like the person who's living those normal life but wanting something else.
Yes.
Or you don't want to be maybe we shouldn't be living this life wanting the other one. But when I actually truly ask myself, I go, no, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world. But as challenging as it is, but it really depends on what you want, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it's about listening to what you might want deep down, and sometimes people are not. This can come down to like food a lot of the time, right? Like, I'm a big believer that your body will tell you if you can be attuned enough to it, like when you need, when you might need some energy from carbs, when you might need when your sugar's down, when you maybe need some more protein.
Yeah.
When you're a huge thing, right? Like I try and talk to clients about this all the time. Is like, if you find that you're tired all the time, like you probably need to rest. Like you don't need a magical protocol to create more energy. You need to rest, fill up the energy deficit.
Yes.
If you're feeling like a sloth all the time, you probably need more movement.
Yeah.
Like that bit of extra movement will give you a bit more energy. If you do it too much, right? If you're training 7 times a day, you're gonna come back around the other way. And it's finding that little like balance.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It can be like hidden in plain sight sometimes. Because I had that recently. I was training loads for this match, and then I was saying to like a friend of mine back home, I was like, I think I need maybe to look into some like Mexican supplements or something. I was like, oh, maybe I need some peptides, or maybe I need some TRT or whatever. And then he was like, oh, well, what are you doing? I was like, oh, well, probably at least 3 days a week I'll train twice. I'll do weights in the morning, I'll do jiu-jitsu in the evening, and then I'll do one run, and then I'll do a yoga, and then I'll probably do like another train session. And he's like, all right, so that's like 10 sessions a week. One of your cameras just stopped. This one? Maybe? Oh, that one, red light's still on that one.
Keep going with that one.
And he was like, right, so you're training like 10 times a week. I was like, yeah. And he was like, and he's like, you're 35. And you have a full-time job as well. He's like, I think you just need to train less. He's like, it's very simple. It's like, you're actually just training too much. And also, like with a vegan diet, it's harder to get all the protein and stuff. So Something I've realized in the last few weeks, I was like, talking to Abdullah, who's the subject of my second film, like the Ultra film that we're still kind of finishing up filming for now. He was an ultra endurance athlete, and he's like crazy on like nutrition and always like getting all the right things in your body. And I was telling him like my protein intake, and he's like, what? He's like, that's like a 13-year-old girl's like protein. He's like, and I was like, I guess I just let it slip without realizing. And so sometimes the answer is like staring you right in the face. It's like, right, you don't need all this external stuff. You just need to double your protein, and you'll probably be fine. Because we are like and very simple at the end of the day.
Not
like
doing that is hard. Do you know what I mean? Like,
dude,
doing that even if you weren't vegan, like to really hit your protein intake as an athlete, is challenging.
It really is, like, because people, if you follow the 2 grams per kilo or whatever, that's freaking hard. And like people are obviously being vegan for nearly 2 years now. People always ask me, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your protein? And I always kind of go, where do you get your protein? Like I nearly guarantee you that you're not tracking yours, and you don't know. Maybe you're depleted and you're not getting enough either. Like I'm actually, if anything, I'm more concerned with it. So like, but I think at the start I was tracking it all. I was tracking on like Macro Factor or something for like 6 months, and I was trying to hit like 180, which is a little bit low, but it's okay for maintenance, I think. And I was finding it hard. And then
180 grams of protein in a vegan diet that's tough.
Tough.
Like that's like lots of conscious decisions.
Lots,
like,
yeah.
You can't slip.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot. Like, sometimes you maybe don't feel like breakfast, or you don't feel
you just have to have it.
Have to have it.
I did it last night. I was like, I do not want any more food, but I was like, I know I'm short, so I just had like 2 scoops of protein with like, I just put in some milk or like soy milk or whatever, and I just mixed it into like a pudding, and I just had to eat, and it was like, had to force it down, but I was like, I need this, otherwise I'm going to be in more pain, which is way more pressing when you're older. I feel like when you're younger you can just get away with it. You can be like suboptimal for ages, and you just kind of keep going. But like I find now, if I don't watch my P's and Q's, like, which has been happening the past few months, I've been like, I'll train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe do like gym, jiu-jitsu, gym. So that's like 5 sessions by the Wednesday, and I'm like, can't move. I'm like, my whole body, like upper back is seized up, knees are sore, everything's sore, and then I have to basically take it easy then for the rest of the week just so I can train again on Monday. And I was like, what are you doing, But I think it's just, it's a nutrition thing.
Well, that brings us back to the start of it all, brother, and I think that would be a good place to leave it at.
Yeah.
If people want to find you, Ben, how can they do so?
Do you
want to be found?
Do they want to find me is the question. I don't know. I don't feel like I do that many interesting things,
well,
but...
You got a business?
You got a business. This is the logo for the business.
What is the business?
The business is called One Creative, and we just do videography and photography for small to medium businesses in Adelaide and stuff, as well as bigger commercial stuff, and whatever involves a camera, we do it. But that's called One Creative, and the on Instagram it's like by One Creative, BY One Creative. Or if you just go to me, my name is just Ben Forsyth, or just Ben Forsyth, and then all the pages, including the films, and the One Creative business, and Primal Man for like the men's group stuff that is kind of on hiatus at the moment, but may come back. It's all in the one page. So, but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on today, brother.
Cheers,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.